There's a lot of speculation about what the Supreme Court might do or might not do, and I think, as you said, Kennedy's likely to be the swing vote. But it's also important to point out that he pointed to the 40,000 children of same-sex couples more than once, also asking about, about their needs and what harm there might be to them if same-sex couples aren't allowed to get married. So it's hard to know. It's hard to read too much into what their questions were to know how they'll eventually rule.
Professor Badgett, how does denying marriage rights to same-sex couples put them at a financial disadvantage?
It can cost same-sex couples a lot of money to not be allowed to get married. For one thing, marriage is one way that employers use to decide who gets covered by employee health insurance. So same-sex couples might have to pay for that out of their pocket or go uninsured. We know they're much more likely to be uninsured than married different-sex couples, for instance. They may pay higher taxes. They would be denied benefits from Social Security if one of the partners were to die. There have been lots of different estimates of how much all this could add up to, with one estimate going as high as $500,000 over a lifetime for two people who are in a same-sex couple. So that's a lot of money.
Let's talk about the ceremony itself, the average cost of a wedding in the United States. What's the breakdown between heterosexual and gay couples?
Well, the industry reports that about the average couple will spend about $26,000 on a wedding. And what we've seen so far in Massachusetts, for instance, where we ask couples how much they spend, is they don't spend quite that much. They might spend a quarter of that. But that's still a lot of money. That's many thousands of dollars, and there are hundreds of thousands of couples who would like to get married. If you just do a really simple calculation, looking at the 100 or so thousand couples who'd get married probably this summer, if the Supreme Court says they could do it, and then expand that to the 300,000 or so who would likely get married over the next few years, we're talking about somewhere between $1.5 and $2 billion of spending for florists, for hotels, for restaurants. And that's not even including all of the guests who are going to be buying presents and coming to stay for a few days. So it could add up very quickly to a big boon to the wedding industry.
Well, by region, the northeastern United States has the most states that have legalized gay marriage. What's been the economic impact in those states?
We've seen in Massachusetts an impact of tens of millions of dollars just over the first 5 years, and that was a study we did a few years ago. We know that in counties that had a lot of same-sex couples getting married in Massachusetts, that we saw higher tax revenues from hotels. So we know that couples are coming and their guests are coming and they're spending lots of money in Massachusetts. And we think the same thing will happen in other places. Every time a new state comes online and lets gay couples get married, we hear about lines at the county clerk's office to get wedding licenses. We hear about florists running out of flowers. Bakers get very busy. It's clear that there's a very real impact on the local economies when same-sex couples get married.
Professor Badgett, is the concept of same-sex marriage one of a union of economic equals where traditional husband and wife roles oftentimes are not in evidence?
It's a bit hard to say. I mean, I think if you think about a family or a couple as a unit of people living a life together and making decisions together, same-sex couples and different-sex couples don't look all that different. A lot of same-sex couples have children, just as many different-sex couples do. They save money together for retirement. They support each other when times are tough. Sometimes one will be the primary earner for the family and the other one might stay home and take care of kids. We see exactly the same kind of variation in families among same-sex couples that we see among different-sex couples.
Professor Badgett, we have about 30 seconds left. I guess one variation that I guess is going to be a surprise for same-sex couples if they get married, the marriage penalty tax applies, doesn't it?
It might very well apply. It's entirely possible that that first tax return after getting married will be an unpleasant surprise. I've seen it happen, and I think couples need to do a little planning so they're ready to deal with that. But there are some same-sex couples who will actually get a benefit from getting married too. So if before couples decide to tie the knot, they might want to consult with their tax preparer to make sure they're saving up money in case they get that unpleasant surprise.